You could hide about a dozen cars behind this Silverado 2500HD because this is the tallest pickup truck that's currently on sale. This 2024 Silverado ZR2 is the first time this off-road trim has been offered in the heavy-duty form. And not only is it lifted and super high, it's got gadgets and technology and performance that you would not expect in a truck of this size. The ZR2 might as well say Ferrari on the bed. The size, power, and price are so extreme that it's utterly useless as a daily vehicle. It weighs more than 8,000 pounds. The diesel engine delivers almost 1,000 pound-feet of torque. And it's the tallest pickup truck that's ever come out of an American factory. The ZR2 is on a lift that's on a lifted truck from a truck that's already been lifted. So that's 3 lifts in total, making this 6 foot 10 inches high. Pretty crazy, and is 11.6 inches off the ground. The ZR2 adds 1.5 inches over the stock Silverado 2500, and it's not all just because of the tires. There's a lot of mechanical upgrades too. To put the Silverado's size into perspective, consider this. We've got the Ford Maverick, which is the smallest pickup truck on sale and is most comparable to compact SUVs and crossovers. Then we have this, a 3-axle Volvo commercial truck. As you can see here, the Silverado ZR2 HD is actually midsize. You're not just paying for extra height with the ZR2, you're getting a completely reworked front suspension. The upper and lower control arms and the steering knuckle are all reinforced for heavier duty abuse, because you're going to be taking it through that conceivably. These tires, Goodyear Wrangler MTs, those are mud terrains, 305 millimeters in width and very chunky. They look great. You're also getting extra skid plates on the underside of the belly for the oil pan, and in the back, an electronic rear differential. It locks on command, and it's got 4-wheel drive load, just like a regular Silverado 2500, but of course, this one has a special off-road mode. The biggest party trick on the ZR2 are those gold bits behind the wheels. They're Multimatic dynamic spool valve dampers, and what those do is they upgrade regular shocks entirely. Instead of using shims inside the piston, they're spool valves with special exit points so the fluid inside can exit and enter at any sort of interval that the engineers calculate. I'm not really an engineer, so I'm probably not explaining this totally accurately, but picture it like this. There's 3 different chambers, one for on-road, off-road, and a remote reservoir. That means that these dampers under any wheel situation, say the wheels are up in the air completely, can dynamically instantly change how the compression and the rebound are going to react when you come back down on the ground. Running boards are optional in the ZR2 because this is meant to go off-road, but occasionally you'll need to step inside a cabin, and your leg and your arm articulation had better be as good as the truck's. The ZR2 comes as you see it only, crew cab and the 6 foot 10 inch standard bed. This same bed is available on the double cab with shorter half doors, and on that trim you can also get the long 8 foot 2 inch bed. You can also get that bed on the crew cab, but not on the ZR2. And if you get the WT and the LT, which are the lower trims, you can get the smallest regular cab with the long bed. It only comes with the long bed, not the shorter bed. Got it? Every Silverado HD has a redesigned front grille, new headlights and LEDs that play a welcome and exit animation. And on the ZR2, you get all the red accents, especially the tow hooks. The Silverado 2500 doesn't have a turbo 4 or any 6-cylinder engines. It's 2 6.6-liter V8s, either gasoline or this one, as you can hear, is the Duramax Turbo Diesel. Now the diesel is up for 2023, more power and more torque. Not quite 1,000 pound-feet, but very close. Both engines have a lot of output. There's no fuel economy figures because the EPA does not publish them. I've been getting anywhere from about 12 to 18 mpg, on the highway that is. Now, 10-speed automatic transmission, standard across the board, and 4-wheel drive is standard on the ZR2 in the high country, and it's optional everywhere else. About 3,200 pounds can go in this bed. On a trailer, 18,500 pounds. The top Silverado HD models can tow 20,000 conventionally, and they can go almost 4,000 pounds in the bed. While it's nice that Chevy puts these side bumper steps in here, on this truck, how do you actually get up here and work? I wouldn't do this. Duramax V8, it's got plenty of power and plenty of gears. I prefer this engine over the Cummins Diesel 6. I think it's pretty comparable to Ford's Power Stroke V8. These big diesel V8s are just so smooth. They clatter a little bit, but under load, they just sound pretty good, and it's quiet. The exhaust brake is great when you have the gear selector in low and the exhaust brake switch on, which will basically shut off the turbo wastegate and keep all of that pressure inside the engine to slow the crankcase. Great feature. You can press a button here. It really helps when you're towing going downhill. You don't really notice it if you're just driving around. But as you go downhill, you don't even hear that brrr effect that usually you get with exhaust brakes. This one's just smooth, almost makes you think you have the standard gas engine. Now for 2024, Chevy has brought us adaptive cruise control for the first time on a Super Duty. Really, that's because they weren't able to tune it properly to work. On the light duty trucks, the 1500s, it's no issue. But the 2500s are another story because you've got way more weight, typically, when trailering. And now this feature works when you're trailering. The system will accommodate for friction and load and all of that. It also tweaks the blind spot monitors for the added trailer length. So for 2024, if you're trailering and like using those features, this is the truck to have. Now on road, the ZR2, it's not a punishing ride. These 35-inch mud terrain tires, also mildly noisy, but not horrible considering what this is. And while most heavy-duty pickups like this without any weight or trailer in the back typically ride terribly, this one's better, it definitely is, but over some rough bumps, it will still shake the entire cab. There's no getting around having these tires at over 60 PSI when cold because this whole truck is just meant to be loaded down. Upper trims, like the High Country, have electric power assist, but the ZR2, it's hydraulic. Very old school, recirculating ball setup on every single one of them. And that's just because heavier duty. But even so, Chevy uses a short long arm front suspension. That's another word for an unequal length double wishbone. So it's independent in the front, unlike 4x4 versions of the Ram and the Ford Super Duty. So that's a unique feature. It does contribute, I think, to a little bit better steering placement. But let's face it, when the lane is going to get narrow, this is not the vehicle you want to track through it. It requires a lot of different corrections. And the ZR2 is also the widest of the bunch. And these mirrors can extend out even longer. So on small back roads, this is not the truck at all. What's kind of fun and what is a little scary is that you can wave hello to big rig drivers because you're basically sitting at the same height as they are. Well, ordinarily, I rank on GM for fitting very puny brake rotors in most of their trucks and SUVs, but not here. Because when you step on the brakes, the anchor definitely drops. These are 14 inches front and rear, and with a truck this big, you're gonna need every last one of those inches. Also on every Silverado HD, big column shifter. It blocks the volume control when you're using the stereo, but off-road, that's not the toys you're gonna be playing with. Now right now the hill descent control is set to 2 miles an hour, which is probably a little too low. So we'll increase that a bit. Normally I don't use that, but we've just had a snowstorm, a tiny bit of ice on the ground. It's kind of nice to be able to stop an 8,000-pound truck without having to do it all yourself. That's what these electronics are for. You can disable that right on the dash, so let's do that. This, catch a little air. This is where those Multimatic dampers really come into effect. As opposed to regular dampers that have washers inside them, they call them shims, these have spool valves. They're a more efficient way of dispersing the oil inside those shocks. And in doing so, there's 3 separate areas for that oil to travel. There's an on-road section and an off-road section, and then a remote reservoir. It's a very complicated way of doing things, but it works wonders. Oh, wow. Excuse me, folks. There's a bridge. We've never seen that before. Well, I was hoping to put the ZR2 more to the test by at least crashing through some water and doing some fun truck stuff. We don't test vehicles out in the middle of Montana. So if you're looking for this video to be the be-all, end-all of off-road performance on the Silverado ZR2 HD, I'm sorry, it won't be that way. But in New England, I can still say that there's plenty enough land where we can still drive up hills, still feel how this truck really performs. And it is, okay, it's rough. The dampers don't totally help. This being a heavy-duty truck, I think I'd rather be in the Silverado 1500 ZR2 because it's just not as stiff. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm not sure why people need to be in a truck like this. Oh. All right, well, we'll have to turn around. Bye, guys. So I've got to reverse one way off of this trail because it's blocked. But in doing so, the view at the back, to the mirrors, and all these cameras that stay on when you're in the off-road mode, it's pretty good. It really is. Chevy's HD surround cameras work exceptionally well. There's 14 views on them. The screen is just so clear. On some trucks, you really just don't get that. And this truck is just so large, it's so hard to turn around that honestly, backing up is going to be the easier option. Okay. Okay. So now that I've turned around, I think the verdict is in. This is not a good off-road truck for most situations. Unless you are on a giant farm somewhere in the middle of nowhere with wide expanses of land that go on forever, this Silverado is going to be more of a hindrance in every situation than it's worth. And then the ride, too, off-road is absolutely pretty bad. It is. But I wouldn't expect anything different. And these Multimatic dampers, as good as they are, they can't control all of the vibrations coming through. They just can't. So, an extreme truck made for maybe this much of the population. Doesn't really make sense. Every Silverado HD except the base work truck has the same great interior as the 1500. If you're getting the work truck, you're getting the old stuff that doesn't look or feel that good. Everything here, pretty nice, but this material in the ZR2, it's supposed to be rugged, but it doesn't feel good at all. Even though the materials aren't the best, General Motors still has a way to go on that front. The quality of assembly has improved dramatically. The fit, the finish, and I like that GM has included so many real buttons and switches. The touchscreen is simple to use, but the fact that there's still headlight controls. Chevy has deleted that on trucks like the Colorado. They're all here, and this big chunky shifter, everything that you're used to using in a heavy-duty truck, has not changed. Most Silverado HD models do have the option to have a full bench seat. On the ZR2, there's this console, which I much prefer. It feels more like an SUV. And there's also a wireless phone charger integrated right here. It's very roomy inside here, as you'd expect, and it's also very basic inside here because it's a Chevy, as you'd also expect. There's heated outboard seats, not heated up here though, because these backrests have hidden storage. I like that, but to be honest, I'd like my back to be a little warmer right now. The 13.4-inch touchscreen, very clear, very easy to use, and Google native with Google Maps, Google Assistant, and Google Play. I don't use Google, I have wireless Apple CarPlay right now, but that's also available. You can also configure this third of the screen to show the trailer connectivity, Sirius, other audio, and the maps, which I do like. Now, check this out. If you're trailering, it will actually use weight sensors to tell you if you've exceeded the gross combined weight rating of the trailer and the truck. That's very, very helpful. And there's also some low-tech features on here, like a sunglass holder right behind the screen. There's 14 different camera views, top, down, side. You can see all the tires, plus a bed cam, and you can install auxiliary trailer cameras if you have those. The 12.3-inch digital instrument panel, I like it. I like that you can switch the different gauge layouts. There's no full screen maps, but you do get these nifty little animations. And once you've actually chosen something, let's go back to classic. You can also switch what's in the tachometer, the speedometer side, and also this lower gauge panel. I like that it highlights it. It's very easy to adjust these settings once you're stopped. There's also a 15-inch head-up display, which you can adjust settings right on here as well. GM has always done that super nicely. And of course, just like most GM systems, you can cycle through various information. I'm only getting 15 mpg right now, for example. See all the tire pressures. It's really easy to use this system on the go with just the steering wheel. The 2024 Silverado HD starts at $44,400 for the two-wheel drive work truck. There's 6 trims, and the ZR2 is $70,600 to start. Adding the diesel V8 costs another $9,490. As you see it here with destination, $87,150. The main competitors are the Ford F-250 Tremor, the Ram 2500 Rebel or the Power Wagon, and if you choose to go light duty, a Ford Raptor or a Ram TRX. The Silverado HD ZR2 is a toy meant for hauling other big toys. That's how Chevy describes this thing, and I would agree with it. It's a ton of fun in the right setting. Ton of power, torque, all the capability, the looks. The looks are really why you buy this thing. For my money, I'd rather be in a Ford Raptor or at a good price, maybe a Ram TRX, because I'd go faster off-road and be able to fit on more trails. As it stands, as an HD work truck, you can't do real work with this thing. Yes, you can tow, but it's way too tall and cumbersome to drive for it to be useful. What do you think? Am I wrong? Am I right? And would you go Chevy or Ram or Ford? Well, we've got all of those truck reviews and more coming up on CarGurus, so subscribe to the YouTube channel and we'll see you next time.